I did see this comment on this on Letterboxd. Somebody had written about this movie, and I have to bring it up because it's super. It's an awkward, hard thing to talk about. But somebody wrote something along the lines of like, it's interesting how much this movie, a huge energy behind this movie is the idea of the fear of like prison rape.
Oh, I literally was going to talk about it. I was going to actually bring it up. And that's great. Go on.
To the point where, again, like, I almost feel like because of the behavior and some of the acting around it, it almost becomes a little bit SNL sketch-like. Because they do it so many times to the point where it's almost like, I get it. I know. And I'm not saying, like, I don't want to hear. It's just the way it's portrayed by some, like, especially with, like, it's like there's like, I don't, like if you like take a drink every time somebody mentions getting raped in prison in this movie, that first hour would be really, you'd be super trash.
I'd feel like how I felt today walking a marathon.
Yes. And it's like, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just the way that, it's almost like, I wish, like what would have happened if, whatever, Hoffman was playing the Barry Pepper role or something. I feel like then I would probably, it's just like, there's just this sort of like sinking their teeth into it as an actor type thing that just feels cringy. And
Totally.
And not because of the subject matter, because of the way it's being like performed. It just feels very like, like if you've ever seen like a high school play, and they're doing like Death of a Salesman, and you're like, this is ambitious.
Right.
But then it's like, if you get somebody, and those plays can be great, but it's like, you know what I mean? If you have somebody doing the breakdown scene like way too much, where everyone in the audience is just trying to be kind of polite a little bit. That's how I felt during some of the moments in this film.
That makes sense.
There are several things about that. I said to Jesse, I think we talk about how films age. I think that whole concept is gonna age worse than even like the student-teacher relationship as years go by. And I already feel like it's not appropriate insofar as like we're starting as a society to turn our consciousness towards the idea that like, hey, this is supposed to be rehabilitative. Prison's not supposed to be like punitive. And to talk about things this way, I think it was done in the film because there's not like, you think about drama and things that motivate characters and motivate plot forward, and you need something that's like the big bad thing to like, why should we care, And so the movie so confidently goes after this idea that prison is a terrible place where you're going to get raped and there are sexual predators in there and you better not be pretty because like, and it just goes it's so confident in that persptive.
How multiple characters.
Multiple, And that I mean, have I been in prison? No. I've heard of people's perspectives from coming out of prison. And among those perspectives is the idea that like, there are people that are gay and they're in relationships and that's their business. I haven't had any experience having to deal with that. I'm sure there are also people that have been raped in prison, but it didn't take any time to think about the kaleidoscope of possible outcomes that prison could provide. Right. It really just sunk its teeth into the fact that it's a terrible place. And that motivates Barry Pepper beating Edward Norton up at it is the engine for so many of the points of the movie. Particularly in a movie that is so dialogue heavy. It needs a boogeyman in order to motivate things. And I think ultimately that will probably age more poorly. I hope it ages more poorly as we as a society like figure out how our rehabilitation system should work. And it shouldn't be like we are going to scare people into staying in line by saying that you follow the law or you're going to get raped. Like that's crazy.
Well, I made this comparison that I thought was kind of nice. I hope that it becomes really like a terrible thing to hear about because I think at the moment, like our concept of what prison is so unknown. Like either maybe you've been there and then you tell a story, but then your story is just, it gets filtered in and people believe it or they don't. But if you've never been there, it's like the equivalent of dying and going to hell. So like, that's a different thing because you're not going to come back and tell people like how that was. But it's like, it's this completely unknown, like behind a curtain. You're going to go there and who knows what's going to happen.
Mhm.
And like, that's really not how it should be.
Mhm.
And so I really hope that, yeah, the way they portray prison in this movie does become something that's like cringy or worse for people in the future. Because I think right now still it's like they're showing character development with like all these people that are either like building up the story of how crazy prison is, or they're just really, really scared.
Mhm.
Just like people are like really, really scared to like die and potentially go to hell. And like that's a thing. The church
Yeah.
uses hell the same way that our legal system uses prison to keep people in line.
Yeah.
And like I'd love for like, obviously hell, we're never gonna know. We can't figure that one out. We can't like open that curtain and have people see what it's really like if it exists, whatever. But like prison, like we can, like
Yeah.
we could know for real, like what people experience and like
Yeah.
make it a better system. It doesn't have to be a hellish concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure in 2002, like statistically, like they could probably prove like that there's a lot of terrible sexual assault in prisons. And like I'm sure there's a lot of other things to be horrified of in prisons still, and but to me it's just that the fact that the movie feels the need to bring it up so many times to an almost comical level, and to also like
Yeah.
it literally feels like they're like, I don't know if having fun with it is the right word, but they literally use it as, like you said, Mike, a boogeyman
Yeah.
in a way that it just feels like in bad taste.
Yeah.
Not even to like 20 years later, but just even then, like just as a storytelling tool. Like it just feels a
Yeah.
little bit like too much. And I think, it's probably annoying to go back and look at like a filmmaker's like other works and like masterpieces, but like Do the Right Thing, I think, is like the one that like everyone knows. And it's like, I've seen it a couple of times, and I got to see it at BAM a couple of years ago, and it's like that movie is so like I don't like perfect is one word, but also like it has so much humanity in it. It has so much like even like the sound, like everyone you kind of like. It's a complicated movie, and nothing is sort of like simple. And I mean, it's maybe I'm not choosing the right words by saying it's not simple, but it's like it has so much nuance and complexity in it with all the human characters, and I feel like
Yeah.
it's just strange to see then Spike Lee make a movie in 2002 or 2003 where it's like, you better watch it, where they bring it. It just feels like a different director. Like, and sometimes
Yeah.
it happens to me with filmmakers that I love, and I start following them, where it's like you kind of see them get the keys to the kingdom, and maybe they're just in a hurry, or maybe they have to like make the movie quick, and they don't have enough time
Yeah.
to like really like get in there and figure out the script exactly how they want it. But it feels to me like maybe it's one of those instances with him where he's
Yeah.
just sort of like, I gotta hurry, or I want to do this movie, and like Edward Norton's available right now, so they maybe didn't have a time. But and then it wasn't until they were
Right.
made the movie and we're like,
Yeah.
damn, we accidentally had them talk about this a lot. Maybe that was a little bit in bad
Right.
taste.
I don't know. It seems like, for me, it seems like this is what they wanted to do. Like,
Yeah.
it seems the movie expresses it so confidently.
Mm.
I think that it is the engine of the film. So, like, one way or another, like, you're either on board that all of the characters actually believe this. Like,
Yeah.
Jesse made a good point when we were talking about it, where it's like, it doesn't really matter if that's what prison is or is not. Edward Norton certainly believes that that's what prison is.
Right.
So
Yeah.
he is motivating, all of his decisions are motivated on that idea. So if you
Yeah.
are able to go along with that,
Yeah.
then you can go along with the movie.